emoji nauseated face, emoji face vomiting, emoji cool.
What's going on, Fortnite fam? Welcome back to the Fortnite Champions Series. It is day number 2 of the finals, and after 6 matches, one trio will be crowned the FNCS Champions and be able to hold the Axe of Champions high. Of course, as always, you know who I am. My name is Zeke Mateus. Joining us here on the analyst desk, it's Reese, it's Levin. Gentlemen, after yesterday's performances, how are you guys feeling coming to today?
I'm feeling so good. You know, back a week ago in the semi-finals with the reboot round, I thought the hype levels would have peaked. You know, those games were incredible. Yesterday's games, so close right now after the first 6 games, so close on that leaderboard. Anyone can take away with it. I genuinely can't wait to get into the games today.
Yeah, honestly, it was so great to watch yesterday, right? You know, coming into FNCS, you always wonder, you know, which one of the big teams isn't going to perform the way you'd expect. But for the most part, like, all of the teams you'd expect to, you know, come out and put on a great performance did so. And, you know, we saw the standings changing non-stop. So it's really going to be nail-biting today. Who's going to be able to pull away? Who's going to take the lead and claim the Axe of Champions for themselves?
There's so much that we want to talk about, and we'll get there in just a second. First off, I just want to say, everyone in Party Royale, what's going on, everybody? It is so fantastic to be with you guys, as always. We hope you guys enjoy the show, and if you're just know we love you. We're gonna get into the moment, and we're gonna get into the action in just a moment. But first, we got to talk about the broadcast itself. You guys know we start things off in here in EU. We have 6 matches ahead of us. Then we'll take a break, jump over to NA East for another 6, and we'll end the day in NA West and crown the final set of. How did we get here? What is the format? How much prize money's on the line? Don't even worry about it. We got Reese, we got Levin here, and they're gonna break it all down for you.
How did we get here is the question. We're in our 5th week currently, but to start things off, our teams have gone through 3 weeks of qualifiers that had 4 rounds in them each, and a grueling 132 teams made that through to the semi-finals. From the semi-finals, 32 teams made it to the finals, and that one last slot was filled by the reboot round team, which is incredibly exciting last week. So here we are. And at the conclusion of those last 6 games, so 12 total, the FNCS champions are going to be crowned and the prize money is going to be dished out.
How will these players get points though, Reese? Look. Hand side of the screen, there will be 2 points handed out per eliminations that players get. And once you hit that top 17, you will start to receive placement points. You will get 1 placement point per every single placement, all the way up until 4th place. And once you hit top 3, right, once you hit that top 3, you get a massive jump of +6 placement points, then +5, then +5 again, which totals to 30, right? 30 points given out for the victory hour, along with any elimination. 3-point format with, you know, a load of points being given out for eliminations means that, you know, players are going to be doing everything they can to get that top 3 because it is just so rewarding.
And you know what the reward is? Being able to walk away as the champion of the trios competition. It's prize money on the line for every trio here, but the Axe of Champions, an in-game pickaxe that can represent and tell everyone in your lobby, stay out of my way. I am a champion. That's what we're here for. That's what we have our eyes on, and we cannot wait to get through these next 6 games of action. Now, you guys know the FNCS is a global competition. We have other regions that have already wrapped up. You know what that means? We get to crown more FNCS champions, baby. That's right. We got to take a look. We've got Asia. We've got OCE. It's QJack. It's Nator. And it's Alice coming out as your new champions.
Yeah, these guys had a huge game as well. You know, into that last game, it was down to the wire as well. You know, they were down by 12 points coming into that final game and ended up picking up a second with 9 eliminations just to go out over Fram's team, who was an ex-FNCS champion. You know, this team is built up of QJack, who is the solo FNCS Invitational champion, you know, and then our other teammates of Nator and Alice have been so close to getting that championship themselves, you know, placing second in some other in duos, for example, and fourth in duos for Alice. So these guys have been on the edge so close. So QJack is going to be over the moon to get that first place slot again, come back as the current FNCS champion. Nator and Alice, they're going to be happy because they've been so close as well. So really happy for these guys all round. And if we kind of mentioned already, they were battling out with Fram's team in second place there. You know, he's been the FNCS champion since the solos. Unfortunately, lost it last season. Was in the reach of claiming it back with a massive 3 victory rounds, but unfortunately, you know, just missed out. However, second place is still a massive achievement.
Yeah, super exciting stuff for those guys, right? It's so exciting when it comes down to just that final game, nail-biting experiences, taking a look here at the people who came from 6th to 10th. These guys all going to be securing themselves a nice chunk of that prizing. And look, regardless of where you placed, right, if you didn't get that extra champions, you're going to want to come back next season and fight even harder to try be that team that wins it, right? We talked about how Nator and Alice finally have it to their names now. There's going to be many other players in that region looking to do the same next season.
Well, absolutely, bro. And all the trios that can take this as a learning opportunity to say, look, we've made it all the way to finals. That in itself is a testament to our skill. We just need to come back next season stronger, learn, refine, and perhaps walk away the trios champion next season. Now, of course, I did mention before, we also have OCE's results. So it's time to crown another trio, baby. That's right. It's Muzz, it's Looter, it's Speedy, and Freeze 325 points.
Yeah, these guys were first day, but you know what, these guys have ended up being so consistent overall. They had 5 games out of the 12 where they placed in the top 3, and remember that top 3 is where the big format kind of gets in. That's where the big placement points are. And so an average placement was 6.5 across 12 games was really impressive from them. And you know, Muzz's placements overall have been so good. There's been barely any tournaments, be it a solo cash cup, trio cash cup, FNCS qualifier, anything that he's been out of the top 5. So like, this is like a very well deserved. We had Sync, Sorif, and Volks. You know, they were in that lead coming out of the first day as well, but unfortunately it did not manage to pick up the first place slot. They played so good, and you know, Sync, I spoke to him earlier, it's the second time in a row that he's come second in an FNCS, so he's obviously not too happy about it, but over the time he's qualified through, because remember the top 3 teams will qualify automatically for next season's finals as well. So you know what, he's now feeling much more confident that going into that next season he can take that first place slot.
Yeah, shout out to Muzzluter, man. These guys put in some work and it paid off. Nothing less than top 8 coming into that second day. Take a look down your screens. In 6th place, Jinx, Alec, and Werber. They had a bit of a rough day one, right? A bit of a rough day one. They came back and they made something of it, right? They did what they could in day 2, and it was enough to push them into top 6. Good stuff from these guys, and I know for certain they're going to want to come back next season and try reclaim that sort of title, right? Become, you know, the winners of the Extra Champions. And even looking at the leaderboard there, you saw such fine margins, man. Just a couple points separating a lot of these teams, and you know, so much money on the line. You don't want to be that team that thinks, oh, if only we did this, we could have just maybe moved up in the standings a bit. So congrats to all the players who participated. Great stuff from the OC region.
That's right. And now we shift our attention back here to Europe. We have 6 matches here ahead of us, and another trio waiting to be crowned the FNCS champions. We got to recap what happened yesterday, gentlemen. Just to kind of set the stage, we have representation from every single FNCS previous to this one. Andalek, Stompy, Wakey, Tayson, Janice, all players returning, looking to claim the title once again.
Yeah, and you know, we've seen right now our leaderboard's looking very nice. In second, we kind of see Benji's team along with Mats and Amplify. They performed very well yesterday, picking up a massive victory royale from the low ground that we've just saw there, and that was in game 2. But in the top of our leaderboards currently, you know, we've got Teek, Kami and Seti as well going in. And these guys have been very, very consistent. They started a little bit slow, but coming into the last 3 games, they ended up being 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. And like I've already mentioned a couple times, 3rd is where the big placement points start coming in. So the huge amount of placement points. You can see they are in the top of that leaderboard. A little bit less eliminations, and that's their typical play style. You know, they are those guys who are going to be getting that top placement and put themselves up in the leaderboard, but not necessarily fragging out as hard.
Yeah, great stuff all around, right? I said at the top of the show, exactly what we expected, right? All of the top names sort of in the finals, really showing up, right? Taking a look at some of the players here who, you know, maybe you'd expect to see a bit higher up. Andalex, Snaziak, Squeeze, iDrop, Tayson, Mr. Savage. These are 2 really, really strong trios who, you know, sort of didn't start off the way they would have expected to yesterday. And, you know, now is the opportunity. There is day 2 for a reason. You have a chance now to sort of make up for it over the course of the next 6 games. And we know it's possible because just like we saw with OCE, where we saw Jinx, Worthy, and Alex trio sort of have a bad day 1 and make up for it in day 2, those trios have the potential to do that today.
Yeah, and any teams you're seeing right here, these are not out of the running by any means. Last season, Flick and Aston Thomas HD were in the 15th slot coming into the second day. So they were currently where Nico is right now, and they ended the day in 3rd. So anything can really happen in these leaderboards right now, you know, and I think any of these teams who are, you know, they're not currently in the top 10, it's a new day. Hopefully they've reset their mentality, they've slowed things down, they've assessed their weaknesses, and maybe changed up their game plan a little bit. Nothing too major. You don't want to be starting anything new in the second day of the finals. Might not be the time to employ some new strategies, but hopefully they've kind of figured out the mistakes. They come in with a fresh mind, and they're feeling good for today, confident, because anything can happen, and these guys can definitely climb back up the leaderboards.
I mean, boys, the tension is in the air. You could farm this tension with a pickaxe for materials. I guarantee it. Now, of course, we know we like to take a look at predictions and kind of talk through which trios we think could be the next FNCS Trios champions. Now, I think what's super interesting here is this is the first time that Reese and Levin have actually aligned on a trio. Reese, why is this?
Because our brains are so big. That's why. Our brains are incredibly massive right now. But you know what? It seems like our picks picking up to be correct because they're currently sitting in 3rd place when we look at the leaderboards. And, you know, Hen, Janice, and Chapix, these guys have been popping off. We've seen Hen in particular hit some absolutely beautiful snipes out of the gate. But, you know, at the top of the day, for me in particular, I picked these guys because there hasn't been a single tournament they've played that they haven't placed outside of the top 5. So if we're going for a prediction for number 1, these guys have been as consistent as it gets. So definitely a top team and showing up to date already in the finals in day 1. And I'm sure they'll do exactly the same going into today.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that can stop these guys, right? Regardless of what zone pools where, these guys seemingly are able to perform, and I definitely expect them to continue to do that over the course of the 6 games today. Shio's gone with Flick and Aston Thomas, an incredibly strong pick. These guys are sitting in 4th place right now. We saw what they could do in heats, right? They completely dominated their heat, and they're looking to try and maybe sort of have a massive comeback like the way they did last season, right? Last season's trios, you know, came into day 2 sitting in, 15th place. They were able to turn things around and finished in 3rd. So they're going to be looking to try and, you know, they're starting from a higher up position this time coming into day 2, right? And hopefully maybe they can sort of turn things around, push themselves, and really be the team to pull away and take the lead. Sancho's gone with iDrop, Tayson, and Mr. Savage. One of the trios who is a top trio. Do not get me wrong. Do not be deceived by the fact that these guys, you know, aren't sitting in the top 5. These guys are a top trio. They had a rough day yesterday. You know, it's going to be time for them to sort of pull something out of nowhere, right? They can't blame zones. They can't blame, you know, sort of things out of their control. They've just got to be one of these trios who, regardless of what happens, they're going to be able to perform. And I do believe they have the ability to do that.
This is kind of like an anime in a lot of ways, right? You look across and you're like, oh, here's the main character of the story, I think, or maybe that's the main character. But in every shadow that is cast, some new enemy, some new trio could rise up and say, listen, you forgot about us. Now, I'm very excited coming into the day because we have to remember that this is a finals competition. This is a very tippy top, the 1%, if you will. Now, off of yesterday's performance, we saw Pink, we saw Trulix, and Stompy. They came out super strong with the Victory Royale. They had height, but then the rest of the lobby was like ready to answer, right? And I think that's what we kind of have to focus on. We see height with a lot of games. But when we're looking at that 1%, Reese, a lot of these trios are going to be like, no. Oh, I see you're making a play. We were doing a thing, but that's more important right now.
You know, the issue with Pink's Trulex and Stompy's gameplay yesterday was like they started off so good, right? They had a 10 elimination first place. They took that height early. They were sitting up in that top spot. They felt confident. They did pretty much exactly the same thing going into game two. However, they did not have the ammo to do it. So they were on height. They didn't have the ammo. And then, you know, they placed all the way up until second, which was good, but they get one elimination from height, which is, you know, your average is going to be 5+. So didn't manage to get the refresh on the ammo, so couldn't apply pressure down. And that's when Benji picked up that great victory royale moment that they did in game 2. Game 3, they attempted the same strat where they kind of were low on materials and they just played for height regardless. It didn't end up taking it, and Pink ended up going down, and then they ended up trying to go for it a second time during the first moving. So, you know, for this team in particular, it looked like there was a little bit of like kind of one trick. And after those games, we saw them kind of go down the leaderboard a little bit more. So hopefully today they've come back and tried to figure that out. And, you know, there's other teams like Kami, Seti, and Teak who did pretty much the opposite of that, who, you know, started a little bit slow, fixed their game plan, and then in that last 3 games, third, second, and first, just by playing low and mid ground over the kind of typical play style. So hopefully we're going to see all different types of teams like adapt to their situations today.
What do you think, Levin?
Look, I think we're going to see probably much of the same. I think if you look at the teams who were successful yesterday over the course of those 6 games, the teams who are sort of really being able to prioritize and get good position in some of these earlier zones, right? You know, recently I broke it down after a couple of the games where we've seen so many teams on the Storm, man, right? So many teams who aren't getting into zone relatively early. You know, you're sort of rotating alongside another team and there's potential for things to go wrong there. And so, look, who's going to be able to realize, hey, look, nobody was really getting into zone early last time out. Can we be that team to maybe use a vehicle to rotate in quickly and, you know, take advantage of the fact that there's not really anyone taking that sort of initiative? Those are the teams who are going to be successful today.
Oh, man. Well, Fortnite fam, we ain't got to wait that long because it's time. We're boarding the battle bus. Find your seats. We're kicking off the competition in style. We've got Sancho West in his championship gold. It's Shia Wager. You know he's got a floral pattern button up. Let's say hello to our casters. Over to you guys.
It's been an everlasting war this season of the FNCS, and we are now in its endgame. Welcome to day 2 of the finals, and after these 6 games, we'll have crowned a champion in the region of Europe.
It is Shia Wager and Sancho West bring you all the action, breaking it all down. And boy, we have a treat for you. Thank you so much for joining us in Around the World. It is day 2, game 1, and it is time to see who's going to put a big-time effort to move up that leaderboard. I'm telling you, Shia, there's going to be a lot of big names. I think they're going to make some big-time movement here in day 2.
It's all about sending that message that you would not really fall asleep after that 24-hour kind of, you know, shake-up period between days. Instead, Kami and Teak hold their lead in first place. We saw the desk talk about how they've been so consistent over and over again. Sancho, the last 3 games were basically third, second, then first.
Here is their obstacle here in day 2. Knifer's trio has cut their Kami split in half. So a lot of their loot that they really bank on is not going to be as powerful as it used to be. Now, Reese here talked about Pink. Now, Pink's trio, yes, they've been going for height a lot of the time, but they cause all the other height teams in the region to get down. And the teams like Analex, the team like Thomas HD, the Hens trio, those are the ones that love going for height, and they always get answered with an RPG. So let's keep in mind for that. As well, the change here for Flick, Thomas HD, and us is that Ingram's trio has been contesting them. Let's see if Ingram kind of backed off a little bit because he was not successful going in those pushes.
Absolutely. And if it's your first time just watching competitive Fortnite in general, it's very similar to the main game. It's just a little bit more serious from time to time. So in the early game, it's all about, you know, owning your POI, just like you guys would do in your games. You know, as Sancho mentioned, sometimes another team can come in and cut it off. For Flick, Anas, Thomas HD, it's nice. The only added thing that changes the way Fortnite's played in competitive is Storm Surge. So all these teams will have to go and get damage. If they don't do enough, this magical lightning comes down from above and damages them. So you'll notice after, you know, Chapik's on screen right now with Hen and Janice is done looting, these guys will go out, try to get that damage. That is the name of the game.
We definitely got to take a look at the first zone reveal here. That will determine a lot here as a battle does break out. And it is a battle between Advise trio and Seti's trio. some former teammates here in this battle here. It's kind of getting crazy. I can't believe that this is kind of breaking out so early. It's just showing you how there is a hole in the Cammy split, and you're caught out in the distance all alone. A trio will push you. It looks like Arthur's trio has made that decision here, and it's up to Teak here to hold on. This is the first place team here, Trio, that is in trouble here in game 1.
It's a 1v3 as well, but everyone is low on the bottom side. Seti will get finished in just a minute, and that could have some big siphon that will not help Teak whatsoever. He has basically a timer to get these eliminations. I'm not sure if that team down below with Advise, Cubics, and Artur has heals. If they do, this will spell trouble. There's a chance here for Teak, Sancho, but I'm not sure if he can honestly do this.
No, it's not looking good here considering that there's no shields. Oh my goodness. Oh, another team is coming in the distance, trying to some shots here. So Teak now using that flopper has one opportunity to maybe hold on. And it's Slender Trio. This is from Retail Row. Retail Row is coming in. They heard the noise and they're rotating in and they want a piece of that action.
Bottom team will go away right now. Teak is still at the top of this base, still at the precipice of the podium of EU today. The issue, though, is that his time at first place might be short. Consistency is a very good game plan, but if you fall short in just even one game, your entire tournament result could go awry.
So many adjustments are happening that we will break down as Teak does fall. So essentially what's happened is Kubix has been landing at Pleasant Park for this entire first day 1. And day 2, they had more people visit Pleasant Park.
Wow.
So now they decide to move, and look, this is another adjustment. Reason had a great strategy revolving around pushing Ingram, but now that Ingram has moved, he's going to have to go ahead and push Kinzel there in Coral Castle. And so far, it's not going to work because right now they lose one a trade. 2 trios lose a trade. Now Deceptos goes down. Kinzel goes down. Advise, there's some big-time names. Advise goes down in the feed way back low, but let's focus here as Vadil and O'Reilly clean up the mess, and they're going to be able to pick up their other trio, make it reboot them. But look at these, man. It's kind of crazy now. You see Kibo's trio. There is so many trios here in Salty Towers. Where is Savage's trio? This is their home.
If you guys are wondering why we're surprised and you didn't watch day 1, basically everything's changed in day 2. All the trios you would expect to be in certain places aren't there. There's new players there.
Wow.
And Sancho, you're using the word adjustments. Adjustment would be like a small wave, right? On the beach that might change a few things. These are tsunamis of change coming in. This is a completely different finals.
Dude, it's like these trios have decided to cannonball. There's no like finesse. There's no like high dive. There's no like small splash. No, they're going for a big time splash because they need to. So the question will be, where is Savage's trio? You know, Cisse's trio, they're the one they went to Pleasant Park a couple times. They dipped into that there at the end of game 6. So it's so fascinating to see how these trios are doing their best. They're making these adjustments. But man, one thing this is going to work for is the teams that have a strategy like Badil's trio.
Yeah, and these guys haven't had that strategy really working out the best for them on the first day. Currently 5th right now on the leaderboard. We would expect them actually to be higher. They could never actually go to fight other people as much because no one wanted to drop around them, Sancho. That's how aggressive these guys are. No one wanted any of the POIs around them. That's why they flopped all the way over towards, Coral Castle, got all that elimination down onto Kinzel, which is unfortunate. And now they have that game plan rolling in that we usually see them in every finals. This means we have an aggressive trio on the field that's not going to stop pushing boxes.
Wow, man, I cannot wait to see how everyone's changing up. We did see in the feed earlier, Pink did go down, get knocked, and it was the Vior trio. So Hydro 16 being challenged. There's so many of the top of the board being challenged, and already the #1 spot going down. We're seeing this battle right here in Lazy Lake. I think Joe is now finally putting into this fray. Joe has been here before, though. Joe's trio has contested Lazy Lake. Blackie's trio hasn't been finding some success out of here. And also, Karma has not found success here. They've been going down early, kind of get wounded going into the 3rd and 4th circle. So this is going to be a big engagement for Legends trio to survive Joe's pressure.
Joe's just outside the top 10 right now as well. That's where we see an increase in prize money as well. It's a huge fight for him. It's just really a 1-point game all across the leaderboard as well. Today, the points are just so close. If you guys missed that format as well, basically 30 placement points alongside 2 points for every elimination. So you can really change and carve the way you can move up the standings and rankings. Still, though, it's going to be difficult. These are some of the top teams. If you haven't watched Karma Legends or Aware before either, they're very good at playing off of each other's energy, each other's angles. You'll notice now they're all on that low ground, making sure no one can dive in on one single person. They'll have to challenge all three at the same time.
And this is all adjustments based on bot reviews. It's not about where the storm is. It's just about finding opportunities to get storm surge tags. The whole entire day one, they were doing it by kind of perching up in forts. Now the EU region has decided to let's take us down to some up close and personal box fights.
Now, I know it's called Lazy Lake, but don't let the name fool you. This BOI can get very, very active in a few moments. A lot of the people around here like to visit it like a central hub, get a few items, spend some money at the market. And we'll notice it. You see the map right now. A few teams at Caddy Corner, Retail Row. As that happens, though, all the way towards the top right side, Fnatic Lame, Younes, and Robnik, who came through from Steamy Stacks, the yellow arrows on the map screen on the top right side of the circle. They're in a long-range fight and still not in the zone.
Yeah, and now my question is, where is Andretta's trio? They were the ones that were always literally by game 6, they conditioned that entire northeast part of the map. There was nowhere you're going to go. They had the north houses as well, all to themselves. Lame's trio literally was nomads. They went all the way down south to Cape Cod by game 6 and got pushed by Elixir's trio there. So they're making adjustments. The same thing with Malibuca. Malibuca went all the way down to Cape Cod as well. They did not like it. They had a fight. Andalex came in and cleaned them all up. So all these adjustments are going to have some, like Shayo said, tsunami-type effects here on the leaderboard. Already mentioned, the #1 spot went down. That's just so huge, Shayo.
Yeah, and the reason I use Tsunami as well is because once it starts, it doesn't stop, and it's always moving forward. It looks like Shizo God is also kind of like a tsunami, the way he's pushing Lame's box. Almost stopping. They have a little bit of a pinch scenario going down right now as well. That's when one person's on one side, the other two are trying to bite from the back as well. Lame can't actually edit out anywhere or find a break. This is troublesome. This is just the first game, and it's already this difficult.
It feels like these trios are connected to the hip. They have so many battles throughout all the type part of the map, and this is the first time they're fighting here. It's unbelievable to see these two trios who are getting up, scrappy up the leaderboard, fight here. And considering last time they fought, they're at Cape Cod.
Yeah, I mean, right now, though, Lame's doing a very good turtle impression, but the shell cracks. Younes finds a way in, shoots him down, and now I think it's a 1v3. Robnik with just 50 HP. Not sure if it's going to be possible. He runs into the storm. He gets sent back to the lobby. Shizo God, flawless eliminations right there. Actually, no, I think they lost one team member, but they'll find a reboot van and they'll be right back in the game.
This is what we're talking about. Day 2 here of the FNCS. Man, so many people want this. Last season, we saw some major adjustments. Thomas HD and Flickin' Anas, Mongrel Mutual and Taysom were literally running away with everything. They were putting up some big time point performance. And Thomas HD and Flickin' Anas said, that's enough. We're going to go ahead and land Stark Industries. And they basically vaulted themselves. They had a big pop-off performance that kicked them up into the day. With the damage output like Thomas HG, who leads day 1 with 19 elims, that kind of firepower landing at that power position last season was a huge thing. So that's why you're seeing teams make these kind of major adjustments, because a big pop-off performance can essentially net you thousands of dollars, and in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Absolutely. And remember these 4 letters as well, because he's been against Thomas HD, EGRM, or Egram, like we like to call him right here. He's going to be going for a quick fight over at the desert. Not inside zone just yet. Mawaka's going to be the last one alive here from Light and Mr. J. These guys all land on the top left side of the map, so they're all finally clashing. Their roadways intersecting here as they try to make it towards the zone. I've one teammate picked up just shortly. The ball is in Mawaka's field. The issue is this game is not fair for him. This is not just a net with 2 teams on either side. It's just 1 man versus basically 3, and you can't win that fight.
No, that's why you're seeing a sanding opportunity here. Maybe the tunnel up, but Kibo says not so fast, my friend. Going ahead and dig right into the sand and find himself an opportunity to convert some siphon and, more importantly, 2 points. Igram's trio is turning around their fate here, and with another nice, successful wipe right there as we have some battles. But, man, Mr. J's trio, who started off the day 1 with 0 points and ended the day with 0 points, looks like so far that momentum has carried over into day 2. But they've been really consistent other than that, finishing in the top 10. No doubt they have it in them to be consistent, but Shayo, this is literally a new slate of play. The meta has changed here in day 2.
Yeah, and I'm like that you mentioned that, right? You're talking about last season's FNCS in general. Now there's no more power in the POIs. As we mentioned yesterday, the power is in the players, the strategies they have. Harpoon, box dive invasions. That's what Awares is trying for. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. What did we see before? We left Lazy Lake with 2 teams. Look at the mini map now. We've got the entire Fortnite community sharing 3 buildings.
And Levin must have some telepathic abilities because he said that people will be fighting for center. So no longer people are perched on the edge trying to look for storm surge tags. They're using their mechanics up in business. Look at that. So many trios in Lazy Lake dead center. Now we're going to see who's going to rotate to the 3rd zone here to center and set that up. Expect Pablo's trio, expect Trulik's trio, but I do expect many, many more because when they do in heats, they were successful. Like CRR found a lot of success going center early.
It also kind of looks like 2 different gravity fields happening on the map. One pulling everyone into Lazy Lake. And if you remember that map image, another one pushing everyone to the outside portions of the circle. You don't want to use extra mats to move in. Material's so important to play the end game. You need them for defense and offense. And now we talked about Storm Surge. That purple lightning is striking anyone who's playing too passive and hasn't done damage right now. You have to be careful and stay above the threshold. Benji Fishy's team is 195 damage above. That's a very comfortable space. Still, you'll have to hunt for more tags. You can see it dropping down all the way down to 165 already.
And now you're seeing that they were able to get some Storm Surge with Amplify having an elim here. Now you're seeing the points there, that little 2 gold point. That is for the day. We will have a cumulative leaderboards going forward.
Absolutely. So they already got 1 elimination on Amplify's side. Cammy and Teak go down. They're only about 4 points behind, now just 2 with that elimination as well. So Benji might be able to take the lead off this game. Just have to be careful because today so far what we've seen, Sancho, right, or just in yesterday, Benji going down, sometimes Amplify going down. They have to be careful.
I asked what was going on with Andretta Trio, and look at their loadout. Something must have happened at their drop where they had to retreat and back away. They do not have power, do not have surge. They're in shambles, and down goes Andretta. And Refsguard is still feeling that pain of Storm Surge. And I just feel like this trio has always been wounded in day 1, and their rotations have not had the amount of bandwidth that they needed to breathe. Because what ends up happening is these kind of beeline rotations get interrupted by these high-level trios who are making dead side rotations like Hen's trio and things of that sort have surely disrupted Andretta's run. It's just, if you go back to the VOD reviews, they always have a dangerous neighbor on their rotation, sometimes Thomas HD.
Yeah, they're flipping their POIs back and forth as well. It just gets really awkward to have a sound footing when playing the game. Still, though, I'm just watching out for Amplify, Matzo, and Benji. Train H and NRG, the combination. We're basically going to take first in just a few moments, 1 more elim, and they can do it.
And why they've been so successful is because so many teams are fighting for height, and Trulix's trio with Stompy and Pink have been pushing people down with RPGs. And that game plan for Train H, Matzo, Amplify, and Benji Fishy is basically let them come down to us and we will clean them up. And that is what they're being so successful in, is every time a team gets down there, they're in shambles, and they've been rotated in. Like Reese mentioned in game 2, the height team was Trulix's team. They had no way to pressure down below, and that was just the perfect scenario, the perfect storm scenario for Amplify's plan there. He basically was able to wipe out a lot of people down below.
And while these guys are kind of in a hurricane surrounded by other teams inside the top 20, other teams looking to be more aggressive, they'll be the eye in the center trying to play a little bit more passively, trying to not have that much action. On the outside, we just got the perspective of Hen, Chapix, and Janice. They're going to be rotating in just a little moment, but everyone else has the same journey to make. They have a max zone pull, and they're all side by side. They'll be clashing, like rotating tops in a little dome back and forth as they make their way towards the zone.
It's so fascinating to see. Everyone was talking about getting max pulls and max pulls. Well, because everyone's fighting style is the same. Everyone's comfortable fighting on edge, going for storm surge tags on the backside of storm for late rotations. Now, because of these storms are kind of pushing so far to the coastline or to the center, you're having a lot of people on that line. And then everybody's, because they're not moving towards center, of course you're going to get max rotational pulls. And it's going to be so dangerous. The 5th zone, things of that sort, are always going to be so dangerous because you're always on the edge. We all know center priority will get you those short rotations. And man, Refsguard is going to have to clutch up here as a solo.
It looks so sad. He's so lonely. Where's his team? They gotta focus on Surge next game, man. I don't like seeing my man by himself so alone. He'll figure it out. Props though to stay alive till that point. No shield.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he can make it through. If you see the numbers on the top left of your screen, 58 players alive, 22 trios still left in the lobby. Once that number of trios hits 17, that's where those big placement points start getting handed out as well. Right now, Benji, Amplify, Matzo in the best position in this entire base right now. They're from the bottom side, just beaming up, clawing up towards these upper boxes, trying to drop down anyone, get more elims and more loot.
Now we're seeing the teams. We've seen Chapix go down. The Thomas HD trio, you're seeing that team. Hen and Thomas HD, they're together. They're that neighbor rotation sitting right there. They know exactly that the dead side's valuable, so that's why they're on the north side having this battle. And anyone that invested in the center down in Reach Row, hey, you got to come on back, brother, and come on down to this congested area in Zone 5. It's the half in and half out, half in the safe zone, half in the storm side, and so many people are already dead center here. And Refsguard, holding on as much as possible, just falls right before the placements were almost being doled out. Tough ride right there, but this is what I'm talking about. Janice, Hen, and Chapix. Now Chapix is back to his feet here. 2 elims so far for Hen. Now they're gonna have to make this rotation, but I'm thinking because so many people are already there box fighting, they're not gonna have an opportunity to hit Janice and Hen and Chapix. This is gonna be a very decent rotation, long as someone doesn't turn and hit them, as they do take some tags here.
Always gonna be a box watching. You can never assume things get to happen for free, but it's fun to believe. They finally get in though. This is pretty much for free. It was just one big pot that basically allowed them to make this rotation. But I'm not talking about rotation. I'm talking about overtaking the whole server. Look at Thomas HD. I think he just ate a snipe, but it doesn't matter. These guys have position. And Sancho, when we see this team up top, do they ever drop down?
No, the only time they drop down is the Trulix's RPG comes in. Sometimes you see someone retake height near that 8th zone, but these are the kind of players that know how to execute really well. Now they're in danger there as you see Blackie. Blackie is a little bit higher. Now what's going to happen is the zone pulls towards a Nas. You're going to expect Blackie to basically kind of leapfrog right on top of them. One bouncer, boom, and they have height. So it's up to Nas, Flick, and Thomas HD to essentially beam Blackie's trio out of the air if that happens here at the first moving zone.
My bad for calling that early. Was sitting slightly very low in my chair, so I didn't get to look too high for Blackie's trio. They've invested so much for this. Who gets it though? No one gets it. Everyone has to move.
Okay, everyone has to move. So that bouncer play, that leapfrog is not an option, but they still bouncer essentially all the way to the front of the zone if they want it. But expect that team who is at height right now, Blackie's trio, who's above Noah's, is to basically wait just a little bit longer for someone else to establish a point. Then they'll go and kind of cap right on top of them. But it looks like Erican's going to elect to, he's going to stretch that out a little bit. He's going to stretch that tarp a little bit to give him a little bit more airspace, so to speak, to go over.
Oh my, Naslik and Thomas, they'll get into a fight as the zone starts to move. That's one of the top 5 trios in trouble right now.
Vidil's there.
Blackie, they roll in. Vidil, Noah O'Reilly are following right behind. They can jump right on top. A mid-air RPG. Okay. Noah O'Reilly, you're too dynamic. He doesn't actually get too much off of it, but now that high ground team knows what they have in store. They're still going to push forward straight towards the top. You and Blackie and DKS still hold it down. Another RPG comes in, does not drop them. Noah O'Reilly with a big bouncer, but he gets beamed low on HP. Vidil falls all the way down as well, and now Noah's left in a 1v3.
Man, the battle for height is going to leave both of these competitors wounded. Noah with the RPG now down to 1 HP. Can he hold on? And I think he's going to go for like a last second RPG play. No mats. He does get some bridge release reasons right there. Oh no, he goes down. So now it's up to Vidil and Reason to carry the torch, but there's no RPG at play at height, Chayo.
Yeah, so they got height at a big cost. Janice and Hen as well. Lose Chapix, but this is not bad. This is according to plan. Almost every game, we see this trio operating as just a duo. It's any one of the 2 players, they just end up popping off. I'm not sure why. They have these weights basically attached to their legs to slow them down, but I guess their kicks hit harder. Let's see what they got all the way in the middle of these boxes.
It's basically 2 solo superstars, essentially. They could be apart. They don't need to be together, but they will get necessary, crucial buckets when they need it most.
and there's more duos still alive in the lobby following suit. It's Reason and Vidil up top, Flick, and I believe Thomas down below as well, who are lost with, you know, a Nos not being alive. We'll see how these guys can hold it out against trios all around the server as well. Flecking's trio all alive looking for shots right now. Malibuka's there too. Benji's fishing in the same box as a Nos. He's trying to play a little bit of defense. Amplify went down. Flick and a Nos right beside each other. They're looking for the shots real quick. A Nos low HP on the bottom right of your screen. Another player right in front of him. That's Snazy. He can't touch the storm at all. It's gonna take him out. He finds a way to stay low, but it's not possible. He gets deleted.
Now it's up to Vidil and Reason here. They're going to have the opportunity to close out this match with the victory royale and a huge elim point here, but they have to do it as a duo. Look at down below. Hen, this is perfect opportunity for Hen to pop off. Can Flick pop off? No, he gets popped instead. Goes down to Snazy, who is a solo hit himself. So that's going to be a big score for Analyx's trio. If Snazy could stay on his feet, these are the opportunities that you could rack up those points you got no business to. We got Kiko's trio in full force down below. Snazy is on the mid ground fighting for his life, trying to hold on as much as possible. Now he has no choice here but being wood builds, and if someone sees him and they get him right down, gets bopped. Hen has an opportunity now to kind of hold on, but I think Reason sees him, and Reason's gonna push down below.
Janice went down too, so one of the biggest threats not available. It's basically almost a full game of solo for Hen, but a full trio alive down below. So 3v2 v1.
Don't count Hen out. He can make a miracle happen here in this game.
Still 10 elims though for the high ground trio.
Gone.
High ground 2, the miracle gets absolutely stopped in his path. Kiko takes a big shot straight to the face. They still have control of low ground, one of the best places to be inside the 9th zone in an end game. Reason and Vidil might have to just drop down into that box. Kiko going for the med kit play. He's trying to go for a mini heal off, so he has enough HP to go for the fight here. Reason and Vidil up top can't actually puncture any builds down below. It's all brick and metal. They'll have this impasse still here for the final seconds.
This will be whoever wins this will be the second victory out here in these finals.
Okay, we'll see exactly what ends up dropping down here in just a second. Still kind of a stalemate between both sides. The dual Reason trying to just puncture these boxes more with shots, with a little bit of piece control, but it's not possible. Reason drops down from the right side, gets Kiko. He gets traded. I think it's a 1v2 now. No, it might just be a 1v1 Slender versus Vidil. Okay, let's see what we got. Big bouncer, big shot, 100, followed by more. Vidil is insane, and he doesn't lose those.
Holy, 13 elims in the big time tracking to get that big shot. Wow, that is what the kind of finish that they have, and they were able to do it with that crazy RPG play, bouncing right over, sneaking up behind Blackie's trio. That's what I'm talking about. That's the action I want here in the finals in day 2, Chayo.
5 letters, 1 word, style for Vidil. Woo! That was just absolutely sick from the trio. I don't even think we were watching trios that game. That felt like duos and solos the whole way through.
It did, man. There was so much chaos, so much action. And hey, we could only keep up with what we can. We are going to need the help of the analyst sets to break it down more. Let's kick it to Zeke.
Yo, Vidil with the massive 100 off the enemy trying to launch pad up, or rather bouncer up, bro. We were just losing our minds, dude. What an incredible start here on the second day of finals. You know you have 6 games ahead of you. You know you're wanting to come out in first. And what better way than to drop 13 eliminations and a VR in game number 1?
Incredible. And you know, one of the things that I think we kind of missed a little bit there was when Resin dropped down behind them at the end, he actually managed to pick up 2 of them, not just 1. Yeah. He managed to pick up 2 of them, making it that 1v1 situation at the end. And man, we kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday when we were looking at the other victory royale that this team had. Aim, mechanics. Like, these guys are winning in those 1v1 situations, and it's clearly proving here today.
Yeah, these guys are phenomenal, right? One of my favorite things about what was so effective for these guys that game, you know, it already goes down. They're playing as a duo, and, you know, they have so much ammo available. One of my pet peeves as an analyst is when I watch a team, they have, you know, 400 shots available, and they're not taking them. You know, you can't save your ammo for next game. You know, you got to use it in the game you're playing. And these guys had relentless pressure, right? You know, some of the trios down below would have had no idea that it was a duo above them, right? Because these guys were constantly spraying, applying pressure, and it ends up leading to that victory royale. Great stuff. Also, congrats to my Portuguese Magnificos, man. Slender in them, great stuff. Yeah. They picked up a victory royale yesterday. They pick up a victory royale to start off, or not a victory royale, they get second to start off today. So good stuff from those guys as well.
Yeah, and you don't even need the VR necessarily, right? Obviously, picking up that additional 5 points that separates first and second is going to kind of give you a little bit of a buffer. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much action, and it's so interesting to kind of come into the first day because you can tell a lot of these trios are thinking like, okay, we can't make a mistake. If we do anything wrong here, it's going to cost us a lot. And we see a lot of these teams, even halfway through Reese, we're kind of watching the back. You're like, dude, this is so congested. There's so many trios that are just...
And, that's kind of what happens, unfortunately, when you have these far side zones. And, looking at some of how these top teams coming into the day kind of took part of that. We saw Cammy's team, Sehi and Teak, actually be the first trio to go out in the first game, unfortunately. And, this is what's happened. Teams are adapting. And we saw kind of at this point, Cammy split, very, very split, as the name suggests. These guys aren't landing close together, and teams are capitalizing. We saw Advise's team actually triple land on the Slurp Trunk near Coliseum and instantly push into Cammy. They know where he's dropping, and that's an easy elimination. They ended up picking up both eliminations at that point, but unfortunately, both teams ended up going down. So for our first team coming into the game, didn't actually end up playing too well.
Yeah, from first place yesterday to being the first to go down, it's not a great start. Taking a look here though, Hen, Chapix, Janice, these guys did have a decent game, right, to kick things off. I think they're going to be looking to sort of build on what they just achieved. I think they just got, third place there, so a really good start. Some highlight plays as usual. It's exactly what you expect out of these guys. They are in, amazing form at the moment. And then the VR there, what a shot there from the deal. Great stuff. Taking a look at the leaderboard. Changes. This is what happens for Cammy, Sehi, and Teak. I talked at the beginning about how there's such fine margins, so much potential for things to change. And with that victory out, Vidil, O'Reilly, and Reason will pull away just for now. Hen, Chapix, and Janice shortly and closely behind them as well.
Yeah, and all of our top three are so close right now. 9 points between the top three going into the next 5 games. But if you notice, all 3 of these names were in that endgame playing as a duo. Shayo kind of mentioned it a little bit, but we saw Noah Riley go down at the top when he's going for height, and he had the rocket launcher, but the boys still managed to pick up that big victory royale. But Hen, Janice were also playing as a duo, and then also they lost Matzo from Benji and Amplify as well. So all duos playing in the endgame and still managing to secure a ton of points. It just shows how good these teams really are.
Yeah, I want to highlight Anderlecht, Snazy, and Squeeze there in 9th, right? They got 4th in that final game there. And so to see, what they can do, they had a great start yesterday. They had another similar-ish start where, they had a really good first game and things sort of tailed off towards the back end. So can they sort of, sustain this level of performance over the course of the next, 5 games? If they can, then I'm sure they're going to push way higher than 9th. But it's all about being able to put that into motion. Kiko, Slender, and Mosh, that victory pushes them way back up. They were nowhere near the top 10 when we looked on the leaderboard. Now they are, right? So just one victory, not even victory, I keep saying a victory, they didn't win the game. Just one second place alone, is enough to push you so far up the standings there.
I think you were trying to project onto them. Hopefully these guys are going to pick up that victory royale. They got it yesterday. Their games yesterday were interesting because they were actually battling back and forth between Anderlecht, Snazy, and X Squeeze. We see Kiko's team landing in Retail Row, and then we see also Anderlecht's team landing